Hello again. Welcome to the greatest sports show on this side of the Mississippi River.
The world isn't flat, sorry Kyrie, so doesn't that make us the greatest show on earth?
I suppose you're right. This is Andersen Sports Live. That's Brad Hilligoss.
This handsome devil is Colby Becker. Let's get down to business. Today, we're going to be your guides through the sports universe, giving you the rundown on the Olympics and the NBA. But first, let's take a look at college basketball. This past Friday, news broke via Yahoo Sports of an FBI investigation that implicated a number of players and universities in men's college basketball. Over 20 schools were named in the report, including Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, and Kentucky. The report shows former NBA player agents Andy Miller, who founded ASM Sports, the organization that allegedly orchestrated the payouts, and Christian Dawkins arranged payments to high school recruits in exchange for their commitment to prospective universities. Current college players that were implicated in the report include Colin Sexton of Alabama, Miles Bridges of Michigan State, and Kevin Knox of Kentucky. The report also showed former college players turned pro athletes, such as rookies Dennis Smith Jr. of the Dallas Mavericks, Josh Jackson of the Phoenix Suns, and the number one pick in last year's NBA draft, Markelle Fultz. According to the ledger discovered by the FBI, the payments ranged from $37 all the way to $73,500. But one coach, Arizona's Sean Miller, who, thanks to a wiretap by the FBI, was on record with Andy Miller discussing a $100,000 payout for a potential recruit. In the wake of this news, Sean Miller excused himself from the Wildcats bench as Arizona traveled to Oregon this past Saturday. The Board of Regents for the University of Arizona has yet to hand down any punishment for their men's head coach, saying they will reconvene for updates and legal advice in the coming days.
As the college basketball world works to make sense of this massive scandal, the games have not stopped. Several top teams were in action over the past weekend, with 8 top 10 teams playing on either Saturday or Sunday. Let's take a look at some of these high-profile games. First, we'll head to Eugene, where the Arizona Wildcats look to face Pac-12 foe, the Oregon Ducks. They're looking to put these scandal allegations behind them and just play some ball. Pick it up late in the first half. DeAndre Ayton, the high-profile center, taking it himself on the fast break and jams with 2 hands for safety. Puts Arizona up 8. Later on in the second half, Arizona again with the ball, and it's, guess who? DeAndre Ayton jamming again with 2 hands. You don't care who it is. Arizona with the ball again, this time Troy Brown with the steal and takes it for a one-handed flush himself to cut the lead down to just 5. Then later on, Arizona down 3 now to Oregon, and it's Dylan Smith with the deep 3 to tie the game up and send it to OT. But in OT, it was all Ducks as they pull out the win, 98-83.
Let's head down south to Lubbock as Devonta Graham hits that one deep in the heart of Texas. Can 3 there, but the Red Raiders, not to be outdone on the other end of the floor, try to can a 3 themselves. But a bad bounce ricochets out. But how about this? A little bit of hang time and 2 points for the Red Raiders, who are trying to defend home turf. But it's too much senior, too often. Off balance, I'll take both of them. Devonta Graham put up 26 on the night, leading the Jayhawks, and puts up this circus shot to give Kansas its 14th straight Big 12 conference title, to the joy of Bill Self. Jayhawks win 74-72.
Pick it up now, number 3 Villanova visiting Creighton in Omaha. Jalen Brunson here gets the ball off the screen and takes it inside for the and 1 to put Villanova back on top of Creighton late in the first half. Here we go next, and now it's Marcus Foster working to beat the first half buzzer. Pull up, step back 3, got it! Cuts the lead down just 2 heading into the halftime locker room. Got to feel good about that. Later on, Jalen Brunson again taking it in the lane, the turnaround lefty hook jumper, and he puts Villanova back on top by 2. Late in the second half now, Brunson one more time for another and 1 to put Villanova ahead. Jalen Brunson, the Wildcat star, trying to put him on his back. But here, with 3 seconds left, he takes it in. Mikal Bridges says no to send the game to OT. He was having none of Marcus Foster's weak layup. Then we're going to head down to overtime, tied at 72, and it's the Creighton there with the finish on the lob. Didn't quite get the dunk, but he made the layup. And then Creighton gets the ball now. One more time for the layup, and they just pull away with this one here, 89-83.
March Madness is quickly approaching, and the bubble teams, still looking to punch their ticket to the big dance, have one last shot in their respective conference tournaments. The Big Ten was the only Power 5 conference to wrap up league play this weekend as the Big Ten tournament begins this Thursday night in the basketball mecca, Madison Square Garden. For a full breakdown of the Big Ten tourney, I'm going to pass it with my left hand to the one and only Katrina Spurl.
Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm your host, Katrina Spurl, alongside Chase Thompson and Jack Crumley. So let's take a look at the final standings of the regular season. Jack, how does the final regular season standings vary from your preseason predictions?
Yeah, the two teams that completely obliterated preseason expectations were Nebraska and Ohio State. Both finished in the top 4 of the conference standings after being picked to finish towards the bottom of the Big Ten. Two teams that were a disappointment this year were Wisconsin and Minnesota. Wisconsin didn't finish in the top 4 of the conference standings for the first time in 16 years. That's ridiculous. Thanks to a relatively young and unproven lineup. And Minnesota endured several injuries to key players, like Amir Coffey, which really derailed their season.
Yeah, Jack, I tend to agree with you on all those, but one of your surprise teams. And the difference is, I don't think Minnesota was that. It was a shock, but I felt like Maryland was more of a surprise to me. Minnesota, they had a good team, and they proved it. They just got hurt. But Maryland, we can still see how good Maryland is when they play. Like, they show that they're as good, if not anyone, in the conference when it comes down to things. But they've had injuries, returned a lot of players from last year, so they knew how to get it done. But it was a tough year for injuries throughout the Big Ten Conference even. So Maryland was definitely my biggest disappointment through this season.
Chase, you mentioned surprise teams. Are there any surprise teams that can make a run in the Big Ten tournament?
A surprise team that I have that can make a run throughout the Big Ten tournament is Wisconsin. They do face Maryland in the first round, which is going to be a tough game. But they took Michigan State to the wire yesterday at home. They play everyone tough. They have young, proven, tough guards in Brad Davison and Brevlin Pretzi, who are good players. And they have a dude at center in Ethan Happ. He is an absolute beast. He can take some shots. But overall as a team, they've played a tough schedule. That includes 3 losses to the teams that are currently the 1, 2, and 3 on the AP Top 25 poll that was released this afternoon. So I feel like they're the team that can make a run, but they are going up against my surprise team, disappointment team in Maryland. So that game will end up being a dogfight.
Yeah, I think Penn State could make a lot of noise in the Big Ten tournament. They earned a single bye, and they'll take on Northwestern, which is a very beatable team. And if they win that game, they'll face Ohio State, who they have beaten twice this season in the regular season. And I think their starting lineup can go head-to-head with any team in the country. They've got guys like Tony Carr, Lamar Stevens, and Mike Watkins, should they get him back from injury. So if they beat Northwestern, they play a team that they've already beaten twice. I think they could maybe make a run.
Oh yeah, and we saw Tony Carr explode for 27 points at Pinnacle Bank Arena yesterday against Nebraska. Nebraska has proven to be a very, very good defensive team, so they could be a team that could do it too.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, real quick, who's going to win the Big Ten tournament?
I've got Purdue. I think their size and their just offensive explosion, they get it done on the inside and outside. I think Purdue can take home the crown.
And I have Michigan State not only just to win the Big Ten tournament, but to win the NCAA tournament. They have some great players with Miles Bridges and Cassius Winston. So I expect them to win in New York, then take their talents to San Antonio and cut down the nets.
All right, well, that's it for the Roundtable today. I'm your host, Katrina Spurl, alongside Chase Thompson and Jack Crumley. We'll toss it back up to the anchors.
That's how it's done. We'll see more of the Roundtable crew later in the show, but right now, our sponsors demand some airtime. So Colby, you and I are going to hit the water cooler for a quick break, and we'll come back better and wetter than ever on Andersen Sports Live.
The historic Haymarket, a beautiful place just west of downtown Lincoln, home of the exciting Pinnacle Bank Arena and a rich history. The Haymarket's history starts shortly after Lincoln's founding, when Lincoln was a busy hub for trains filled with traders and merchants. But now, Lincoln has a new rail yard that's filled with people looking for food, drinks, or fun. The Haymarket is loaded with restaurants and fun for everyone. What are you waiting for? Go visit lincolnhaymarket.org/events to find out what's happening today.
East Campus is for students who want an education outside of the classroom. We have art, agriculture, fashion, food science, law, dentistry, and a lot of trees, all of which are housed just on the corner of 33rd and Holdridge. Grab an ice cream cone at our dairy store or take a stroll through our gardens while you're here. Want to make it legit? Visit us at casnr.unl.edu to reserve a tour soon.
lot of high school students would ask, why should I go to UNL? Well, why did Johnny Carson of The Tonight Show fame go to UNL? Why did multi-billionaire businessman Warren Buffett go to UNL? Why did people of such great fame and success go to UNL? Simple, because these are people that wanted to be successful. At the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you too can begin your own success story. After all, if people like this can achieve national recognition and who came from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, then so can you.
Welcome back to Andersen Sports Live. It's great to see you all again. Brad and I replenished our fluids, and now we're ready to get rolling. What do you say, Brad? Ready to talk some NBA?
It's like you read my mind.
All right, let's get to it, man. The NBA All-Star break is over, and personally I couldn't be happier. After a drought of what felt like years of no games, the NBA was finally back in action starting Thursday. Golden State center Zaza Pachulia has long been known as an enforcer, someone who isn't afraid to be a little bit overly physical at times. But last season in the Western Conference playoffs, he came under fire after a play in which San Antonio Spurs star Kawhi Leonard came down on Pachulia's foot after a jump shot and sprained his ankle. Leonard missed the rest of the series, and many fans, players, and media members felt after watching the replay that it may have been an intentionally dirty play by Pachulia. On Saturday, Pachulia was at it again as he appeared to intentionally fall on Oklahoma City Thunder point guard Russell Westbrook's legs in the Warriors-Thunder game on Saturday night. Westbrook said after the game that he felt it was a dirty play by Pachulia, and Boston Celtics point guard Kyrie Irving even came to the defense of Russell Westbrook on Instagram, calling the incident ridiculous and saying that the league definitely needs to look into it.
Yeah, man, that play by Pachulia definitely looked dirty to me. Hey, but speaking of the Warriors-Thunders matchup, let's look at some highlights from Saturday night's game. Brody, reigning MVP Russell Westbrook, doing his thing before the game, 18 triple-doubles on the season, and he's ready to get underway. But hey, let's start with this action here. This is the play where Brody cans one. He was like 5 feet beyond the three-point line, counts all 3 of those. Let me take them, rack them up, knock them down dominoes. OKC up early, but Kevin Durant launches one here. Rebound Golden State, and he says, you know what, I meant to get 2 anyway. So I'll take 2 on the dunk, but OKC quick to get it back as the New Zealand big man goes up top for 2 hands on the alley-oop. But the lead doesn't last long. OKC up early, coming back down. 5 seconds left. Iguodala finds Draymond, a.k.a. Money Green, on Instagram for 2. Coming back here in the second half, Steph Curry says, don't forget about me. I know I'm small, but I can still reign like no other. But again, KD doing his thing, stares down Jeremy Grant of the Thunder as he cans the 3 en route to his game-high 28. OKC's big 3 went 11 for 46 combined on the night. 3 of 20 from 3 for Paul George, Carmelo, and Russell Westbrook as OKC loses big.
The Sixers played host to the Magic on Saturday night as Joel Embiid corrals the rebound here and does his best Dirk Nowitzki impersonation with the mid-range jumper to put Philly up 14 late in the third quarter. Later, Embiid locks it down on defense, also swatting away Shelvin Mack's layup attempt. Embiid flexes muscles a bit and then pays a little bit of homage to Dikembe Mutombo with the finger wag. Then Ben Simmons later on in the fourth quarter drives in and goes deep into his bag of tricks, faking out Nikola Vucevic, causing the Magic to call a timeout with the Sixers up 18 late in the fourth quarter. Simmons smiles a bit on his way back to the bench. He knows that was a bit of a fancy move there. And then you can see Embiid chilling there as he's just done for the night as the Sixers hold on to win that one 116-105.
All right, Bryn Forbes wastes no time getting things hot in Cleveland. Banks the 3 in. Tom Izzo must have taught him that one back at Michigan State. But Bron, they call him a locomotive. The hoop and the harm. I'll take 2, and I'll sweat on the cameraman for good measure. He'll go to the line and complete the three-point play. But LaMarcus Aldridge playing bully ball on Tristan Thompson, but the feathery fadeaway touch. Aldridge got to his spots in this one. LeBron says, anything you can do, I can do better. He had 33, a game high, and was 1 assist shy of a triple-double. But let's go back to LaMarcus Aldridge, man. He worked his way inside on the paint on the Cavs all night. Got his shots, 27 points. Here we'll see a nice dish as he's rolling into the paint, gets hit, but just finishes through everything. San Antonio leaves Quicken Loans Arena with a win, 110-94.
New Orleans visits Milwaukee here in the first quarter. The Greek Giannis Antetokounmpo slams all over Emeka Okafor. Makes him rethink coming out of retirement on that one. Late second quarter now, 5 seconds left. Chris Middleton finds Tony Snell for the deep three to beat the shot clock and the second quarter buzzer. It's a 17-point halftime lead for the Bucks. It looks unstoppable. But the Pelicans had something to say about that. They're down just 2 late in the third quarter, and Drew Holiday takes it to the rim and finishes over Thong McCurr to put it just a tie game with a minute left. Now 5 seconds left, tie game. Nikola Mirotic fakes, gets the shot up, but he can't hit it as they head to overtime, tied at 114 now. Free basketball in Milwaukee. Drew Holiday now inside, kicks out to Rajon Rondo for the three, banks it in to beat the shot clock buzzer. Not really his shot, but got to do what you got to do. Now the Bucks down 2. Giannis can't hit it. The tip, no. Jason Terry for 3. Hits it for the win, but he didn't get it off in time, so New Orleans takes the 123-121 victory.
Colby, nobody knows the NBA better than you, man. You got a mind like a steel trap when it comes to the NBA, and I know you stay up on the latest happenings of the association. So right now, Western Conference, it's a 2-horse race between the Houston Rockets and Golden State Warriors. In your infinite wisdom, who takes the regular season crown in the West?
I think it's going to be the Warriors. They're going to lock up the West. They're just too talented and truly have another gear to go. Their best gear is above everybody else's. I got Golden State.
Solid prediction. I'm going to call my bookie with that info after the show, but let's take a look at how the conference standings shake out with the second half of the season underway. In the Western Conference, Houston hangs on to the top spot, just a half game ahead of the boys in the Bay. The Spurs in a familiar spot at the 3 seed, and doing so without superstar Kawhi Leonard. If the playoffs started today, fans would get a real treat in the first round, as Golden State would host Oklahoma City Thunder. The bad blood between Durant and Westbrook is must-see TV, and the Clippers still sitting 2 games out of the playoff picture. In the East, however, the Toronto Raptors sit on the throne with the second-place Boston Celtics just a half game back. Brad Stevens is making the most of his young roster and new point guard, Kyrie Irving. LeBron and the Cavs, 3rd place, and have some work to do as they try to find a winning formula after the roster overhaul that GM Kobe Altman made at the trade deadline. Kobe, you and I trust the process. Philly sitting in 7th place right now, looking to make the playoffs for the first time since 2012.
Yeah, man, they are for sure, but it's time for another quick break now. But when we come back, we'll talk Olympics, as Katrina and her panel of experts at the round table will give us the rundown on curling, as well as the U.S. stealing gold over our northern neighbors. Don't move, or Brad will find you. Back after this.
It's your first stop on campus. It's your helping hand. It's a place to study, a place to eat, and a place to plan. The NCARD office, Career Services, Student Affairs Center, a multicultural center, food, and even Greek affairs.
Wait, did you mention food?
Yes, but we have a lot of other stuff too. Come check it out at the Union.
It's our union.
This is the nation's biggest multicultural center attached to a union. There's space to interact, study, and create. We're home to dozens of cultures, majors, and interests. We are home to all underrepresented students. In here, there's always room for you. Located on the east side of the UNL City Campus Union, find your home away from home. Find us at the Jackie Gunn Multicultural Center.
At the Outdoor Adventure Center, you'll find activities for everyone, from canoeing to kayaking to rock climbing. Everyone can get involved, but if you want to find them, you probably have to look up. The Outdoor Adventure Center isn't something you can really define. It's a culture built through experiences. Take a class with us. Go on a trip with us. We're open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Come move with us. Come adventure with us. You just have to experience it.
Welcome back, thanks. Quick show of hands, who moved over break? All right, perfect. Brad will be seeing you soon. Now the 2018 Winter Olympics closing ceremony took place last night, concluding the snowy spectacle in Pyeongchang. It was too much action for me to keep track of, but Katrina's a machine. She hasn't slept in 2 weeks in order to prepare for this segment of the round table. Let's jump back upstairs to our friends to break it down. Katrina, take it away.
Welcome back to the Roundtable. I'm your host, Katrina Spurl, alongside Chase Thompson and Jack Crumley. So the 2018 Winter Olympics has come to an end. What event stood out to you most? Chase, we'll start with you.
The one that surprised me the most was the Women's Olympic Hockey Tournament. The United States won that in a shootout that ended a little bit after 1:15 Central Time in the morning. But that was the United States women's hockey team's first Olympic gold medal since the 1998 Winter Games in Japan, which was the first time the Women's Olympic Hockey Tournament was contested. The game was tight throughout. The scoring was let off with the United States goal late in the first period, but the Canadians turned around and tried to make it another United States-Canada matchup and dominating by getting 2 in a row. But the United States showed the American spirit and got a goal late in the third period to take it to overtime. Overtime was pretty laid back, but we went to a shootout and the United States won with an absolute world-class goal in the 7th round of the shootout to win their first gold since 1998. So that was what stood out to me the most for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, that was a fun one to watch. But for me, the U.S. men's curling team was the story to watch. They won their first gold medal ever Saturday as they defeated Sweden in the final match 10-7. That team was led by John Schuster, who has been part of the past 4 Winter Olympics, so it was good for him to finally notch that gold medal. It was particularly improbable, though, after they lost to Norway the week before. And on the brink of elimination, they won 5 straight and got to the finals and beat Sweden pretty handily, honestly. And no shot was bigger than Schuster's final shot in the 8th, which cleared 2 Swedish stones and gave the Americans 5 points.
Yeah, that was a great American win right there. It showed that even when we're down, the United States can resolve and come back to win.
Yeah, and hopefully curling can become more popular in America now.
You know, it's a sport that it's easy to get into and it's easy to play. Just hopefully we can continue as a country to build winter sports like this so we don't go years without winning another gold.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jack, can you take us through the final medal count?
Yeah, so Norway notched the most medals with 39, followed by Germany with 31, Canada with 29. United States finished 4th with 23. Round out the top 5 was the Netherlands with 20.
Yeah, the United States with their only 23 medals was a major disappointment, but you got to remember the winter sports isn't where the United States traditionally is a power. You got those countries, like you said, Norway, Germany, Canada, that are cold weather nations, and they're gonna be more prepared to win winter sports. But a team that I really want to give a shout out to was Nigeria. Their women's bobsledding team, the first women's bobsled team from Africa, competed in this Olympics. They did a great job representing the whole continent of Africa.
Yeah, and like you said about the United States not being necessarily a cold weather country, most of their medals did come from sports like snowboarding, what people call mostly American sports, I guess, like the freestyle ones. So they did represent well there.
Yeah, that was impressive watching those.
And you guys said the United States was number 4. Why do you think they didn't perform as well as they did for this year?
It's just one thing that we got to remember is the Winter Olympics, there isn't that many events. So it's not necessarily down year, but just it's one of those things that happens in sports where you never know when a team's going to succeed. And this year just wasn't the United States year. They'll get it back when they go to Beijing in 4 years.
I agree with you.
All right, well, Beijing in 2022 will be the next Olympics. That's all we have time for the Roundtable. I'm your host, Katrina Spurl, Chase Thompson, and Jack Crumley. We'll toss it back up to the anchors.
They make it look easy upstairs, don't they? Thank you, Katrina. Go get some sleep. We're going to step away, but on the other side of this short break, we'll have Gabriel Vegas to talk soccer. Stay tuned for more on Andersen Sports Live.
The historic Haymarket, a beautiful place just west of downtown Lincoln, home of the exciting Pinnacle Bank Arena and a rich history. The Haymarket's history starts shortly after Lincoln's founding, when Lincoln was a busy hub for trains filled with traders and merchants. But now, Lincoln has a new rail yard that's filled with people looking for food, drinks, or fun. The Haymarket is loaded with restaurants and fun for everyone. What are you waiting for? Go visit lincolnhaymarket.org/events to find out what's happening today.
East Campus is for students who want an education outside of the classroom. We have art, agriculture, fashion, food science, law, dentistry, and a lot of trees, all of which are housed just on the corner of 33rd and Holdridge. Grab an ice cream cone at our dairy store or take a stroll through our gardens while you're here. Want to make it legit? Visit us at casnr.unl.edu to reserve a tour soon.
Well, that's all the time we have today. For Brad Hilligoss, I'm Colby Becker, and we'll see you next week.